You are now entering the spoiler zone. The following podcast contains explicit plot details and pockets of profanity. You have been warned. The Exton Moss Experiment. Adventures in Wine and Space with Simon Exton and Ken Moss. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Exton Moss Experiment. I'm Ken Moss.
I'm Simon Exton.
This time we are watching the Doctor Who story, Logopolis. This was the 7th and final serial of the 18th season of Doctor Who, broadcast in 4 weekly parts on BBC One between 28th of February and the 21st of March 1981. Deciding to repair the TARDIS's chameleon circuit, the Doctor goes off to Earth to find a real police box, but an old enemy is one step ahead of him.
Dear Doctor, Logopolis is honored by your visit.
Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. The message that follows is vital to the future of you all.
Master's escaped from Trark. But why take Nissa's father?
To renew himself. He was very near the end of his 12th regeneration. The Master's already at work on Logopolis. I'm going to stop him if it's the last thing I do.
You killed my father.
But his body remains useful. Without it, I could not have conquered Logopolis.
This is not conquest, it's devastation.
It's nothing more than a blanket of silence.
Which is killing the Logopolitans and turning them to dust.
You expect me to believe?
Yes! You are destroying everything.
The reason we're recording this episode is because we have lost, in August 2025, screenwriter, script editor and journalist Christopher H. Bidmead, who wrote this story and was script editor of this season. Dr. Exton, do you have any bio for us?
Christopher Hamilton Bidmead was born on the 18th of January 1941 in Bolton.
Oh yes, Lancashire lad, born and bred.
Went to school, which is not a huge surprise. Trained as an actor at RADA and had a couple of acting roles, and then went on to become a scriptwriter for Thames Television and wrote episodes for Harriet's Back in Town and Rooms, worked as a journalist, writing freelance for things like New Scientist. And then in 1979, he was recommended to Robert Banks Stewart as a potential for the script editor role on Doctor Who, which is what he did, taking over from Douglas Adams. Yeah, and died this month.
Last month.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
trying to pretend that we actually record these at something like the time that people die.
Well, he's also done some Big Finish work. He did The Hollows of Time and Pinacotheca, which were for the Lost Doctor Who stories range. They were quite good. But he also submitted...
Yeah, but I'm talking about the things that he did for actual professional companies.
Harsh. He also did Renaissance of the Daleks, although this was adapted. And to be fair, that was terrible.
Is this more
Yes,
fanfic?
It was terrible. So we'll try and ignore those.
And fanfic.
But in fairness, his approach to Doctor Who was very much to try and
I was
take
doing
it.
my level best to ignore these, and you're the one that kept blathering on about them.
I am determined to try and give a tasteful biography of the man. In fairness to him,
Then why are you keeping bringing up his fanfic?
I'm going to power on through this. So yes, it seemed quite appropriate that we would do the commentary for Logopolis as an in memoriam. As with all Doctor Who's, we're going to listen to the first episode and the last episode and fill in the middle bit with a bit of a précis. But before that,
Before that, we need to go to the Black Archive.
what are you rescuing, Dr. Exton?
To be honest, there's only really one thing that we can rescue, because for In Memoriams, we always rescue something that is part of the output of the person we're memorialising. And none of his writing, either for Rooms or for Harriet's Back in Town or Doctor Who, is missing. He had, according to IMDb, 2 acting credits. One was from a 1970 series called Crimes of Passion. He was in one episode, the story of a courtroom set in France, but completely exists, so he doesn't have a missing episode from that. But he was also, not quite a regular, but he was in a story arc in Emergency Ward 10 in 1965 for 8 episodes as Dr. Lomas. And Emergency Ward 10 does have missing episodes, although thanks to the film is fabulous people, a large number have been returned recently, so thank you for that, boys. But in honour of Mr. Christopher Hamilton Bidmead, Emergency Ward 10, please. And after carting all those Emergency Ward 10 films around the place, I think we probably need a drink as well.
What, would you like me to wave the tonic screwdriver?
Well, that is your job. Have you outsourced that to Spaff as well?
Good Lord, no.
Because in which case I dread to think what we're going to end up drinking.
Oh, here he is. Hello, Spaff. We have a job for you. Here you are. Kenel.
This strange species has developed some kind of civilization.
I'm not sure there's any call for language like that.
Let's go back upstairs. I'll get another bottle. Anyway, this time we're on Batch Distillery Lancashire Dry Gin. It's 37.5%, distilled and bottled in Burnley, and the infobolic says Batch Lancashire Dry Gin has a punchy aroma and is packed full of juniper, spices and citrus, balanced with traditional London dry botanicals such as allspice, coriander and orange. This is a dry and crisp gin. Serve over ice, top up with Indian tonic and garnish with a wedge of grapefruit. We ain't doing the grapefruit. First things first, little sniff. Nope.
Doesn't really smell of anything. Very slightly lemony, if anything, but
that's par for the course with batch gins. They very rarely smell of anything. Eyes down, dive in.
Well, that is just an absolutely lovely, smooth gin.
Wow.
Really smooth. This is beautiful.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
Gin and tonic?
Years ago, we tried Go Well batch gin. And it's that sort of... I'm really rather fond of that as a dry. It's nothing to write home about, but it's got just that... It is citrus, but it's verging on the lemon tang to it without being lemony. It's got a nice sharpness on the finish. It's very smooth. It's the perfect mix of dry for me. What about yourself?
I think this is absolutely gorgeous.
That's not bad at all.
Definitely a 5 out of 5.
I was going to say it's a 5 out of 5 for me. It takes quite a bit to impress me with just a standard dry gin, but that's really nice. I'm so pleased. I was looking forward to this as soon as it landed on the doorstep. 5 out of 5. Well done, batch. A proper Lancashire gin. So here we are, back in the viewing room, and without further ado, it's Doctor Who Logopolis. As with all Doctor Who's, we're going to watch the first episode and the last episode, and fill in the middle bits with a précis.
Woohoo!
Woohoo indeed. It's Run VT, Episode 1 of Logopolis, from the 30th of November, 1981.
Well, I'm watching this on the spanky new Blu-ray with updated special effects, which I know some people think is a heresy, and I think is a marvellous idea.
Absolutely not. No, I love updated special effects. I've loved them ever since they started. I think the first one I ever saw was Ark in Space, when that came out on DVD. And, you know, by modern comparisons, the CGI is fairly primitive, but I quite liked it.
It was a lot better than those ropey little... Oh, now what did the original... It didn't have very much in the way of updated special effects, did it?
I remember the space station.
Yeah.
Why is there a sign saying take your litter home and then there's a bin in front of it? And can that copper not hear the TARDIS materialising?
Well, maybe the tit hat gets in the way.
I know that you don't give a shit about such things, but I've always thought the Logopolis police box is the best looking box. Because it's actually the police box from the earlier season repurposed and given a bit of a makeover.
You're right, I couldn't care less about the outside, other than the fact that I really like their black Bakelite phone. And I love the cloister room.
This is another thing you won't give a shit about. In the novelisation The Eight Doctors, which is set almost immediately after the TV movie...
It's a novel, not a novelisation.
Thank you, slip of the tongue there. This is the sort of antechamber to the cloister room you see in the TV movie. So this is the room where there's the big wooden doors that lead into the main sort of power room.
Oh, it's a nice way of doing it. I mean, I
much prefer the idea that this is the cloister room, because it's an actual cloister.
Yeah, and, you know, Invasion of Time accepted. Some of the internal TARDIS sequences that you see in the Tom Baker era are just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Because, I mean, you've got tertiary control room, which I love. Or even the secondary control room. Tertiary control room was the stone one from the books. And I love this. And if we could have just had what we were supposed to have in Invasion of Time before the scene shifters strike, that would have been fantastic. And if we could have had... Sharda with Professor Chronotis' TARDIS, because that was just beautiful.
Agreed. But they wanted to make K9 and Company, so that's where that 2 episodes worth of cash went in the end.
But, as I keep coming back to, Miglos.
Now, I know it's not a great favourite with the fans, and it's not a favourite with you either, but I've always loved that burgundy costume. I know you think it's very designed, and it is, and it loses the whole bohemian thing, but I just think it's glorious.
It looks good, and it's the beginning of the... I want the series regulars to have uniforms, and it's the reason that Tegan never takes off this air hostess outfit, and she must have reeked by the end of it. Because all that running about in heels and nylon and never changing out of it, my God, she must have been ripe. And Adric being a sweaty teenager in his permanent pyjamas. I know people bang on about Auntie Vanessa being another of the Mrs. Tyler and all of those wonderfully entertaining and dotty middle-aged ladies.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it.
No, she's too young.
It might be the fact that she's in about 3 scenes. And all of those playing audience to Tegan.
That little car's seen a bit of action. Look at the state of it.
Smoking is now permitted. Good grief.
That's the chap.
But we've got communication.
I think Adric gets a little bit of a raw deal, to be perfectly honest, because he's not as terrible as some of the other companions that we've had. Yes, he's a bit wooden, but, you know, we're about to see Sarah Sutton on the subject of wooden.
You're a harsh man, Dr. Exton. I think the problem with Adric is that he's a boy genius, and I don't know why they used to drop them into things, because nobody likes boy geniuses. They're just dull.
And to be fair to Sarah Sutton, when she was given stuff to do, she was quite competent at doing it. Nobody really knew what to do with Nyssa, so nobody really did anything with Nyssa. And she wasn't the kind of actress that would be doing stuff in the background. She was just there staring off into the distance. Whereas when you had Vicky, who was also given, and actually was given an awful lot less to do, her acting was still background bits of business. And I suppose that, to an extent, is a theatre thing.
Now, a little bit of info text. The cloister bell, the effect was made by striking a gong and then dipping it in water immediately to deaden the reverb. This was then slowed down to give the final effect.
Oh. Wonder who thought of that.
But you were saying about the chameleons.
Was there an entire department full of people just doing really weird shit to see what it sounded like?
Yes, the radiophonic workshop.
Because I think that sounds amazing. That's your proper English eccentricity. We'll give you a job just doing really weird stuff. Fill your boots. And then record it.
Oh, God, I would love a job like that. They don't do that anymore, but... I'll
tell you, I accidentally filled my Chelsea boot with blood once. In an unfortunate accident at work.
Where in the name of hell did that come from?
Fill your boots.
Oh, right, yes. No, you didn't.
I did. It wasn't as interesting an experience as you might have thought, and was really very, very unpleasant when I came to take my foot out of it.
Oh, this was filmed on the 17th of December.
They must have been freezing their bits off.
Logopolis always looks really cold. I mean, I don't just mean a bit parky, really cold. And wet, which is even worse than just cold. Imagine standing out on that bypass all day, filming these scenes.
Well, she's got a decent coat on, and so's Tom Baker. Tegan was in that nylon ensemble, and the cold wind would go straight through that.
Oh, this is where the time rotor was fucked. It broke down while they were filming Keeper of Traken, I think, and it's very obvious that somebody is just pushing it up and down rather than the actual mechanism. Some of the dialogue in the console room had to be reblocked in the studio to be played without the console. I've always wondered that, because there are bits of dialogue where it goes a bit mute.
Have a door there?
Yes, I suppose that's useful.
See, that's the first new special effect, is all they instead of that, just that line animation.
I am watching the DVD, unfortunately. I've not got the Blu-ray on my PC. So, but I think I have seen, because I've got the Blu-rays downstairs.
I'm not sure we should be distinctive.
Why?
On the first transmission, the Doctor's lines were out of sync because of problems with the console. Tom Baker had to re-record them afterwards, and they've been resynced for this DVD edition. I have always wondered that bit, though, because it's never sounded quite right.
Completely remove the wheel nuts, remove the hub trim, exchange the road wheels and replace the hub trim and wheel nuts.
So, this is Tegan doing Women's Lib no favours whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Although, to be fair, Auntie Vanessa
You should have been born with wings.
does come across as the more competent of the two, but then the one that is far more prepared to rely on external help.
Don't you think you should put a...
That plane shot was the very first thing they recorded for this story. And I've just noticed, actually, in the puddles in the background, it's clearly pissing down when the TARDIS lands. Ah yes, Tom Baker doing his little robot dance there. One of the things that's always surprised me about this story is that I thought that when the TARDIS lands, that was a split screen shot to save them having to build 2 police boxes. In actual fact, no, it's not. They really did. They took 2 boxes on location.
Yeah, because you can see it behind Auntie Vanessa's shoulder.
The TARDIS and I are getting rather better at these short hops.
Oh, and this is where Tom Baker starts playing a bit free and loose with the TARDIS controls. Because this story, they use 3, I'm sure it's 3 controls to open the doors. Again, one thing that you couldn't give a shit about.
It was a really nice effect that Bike fell over.
No, leave it alone.
I've always wanted one of those Bakelite telephones, and I've never been able to find one.
Of course you have.
Take down these dimensions.
I'm surprised it's not a bit modern for you.
Shut up.
Why does he have a dowsing rod?
Oh, God, a multicoloured dowsing rod.
My little roundabout's used to being insulted by now. They're okay, I guess.
The Watcher is a very nice idea. I mean, it was never done before or since. It's not been done by anything in New Who, has it?
How much more of this?
No, nothing like that.
And that's block transfer computation.
It is a thing of beauty, that police box. I just think it's a lovely, lovely prop. In all its forms, it's not just that particular one, but aesthetically, it appeals to me. I've never been able to pin down why. It's only a phone box.
But it's a phone box that we've been watching for our entire lives. So, you know, you could show that to I don't know, somebody from France or Germany, and it wouldn't have anything like the same resonance that it does for us.
Tegan, dear, it helps if you have the wheel on the ground.
Air stewardesses are supposed to be resourceful, so she's kneeling in the mud, which is going to give entirely the wrong impression when she turns up for work.
And trying to tighten the knots on a wheel that is free spinning.
And trying to push them the wrong way.
The 1980s, Aunt Vanessa. No knight errants.
No knight errant.
Oh dear, there is no knight errant.
I would like to see more of knight errant.
Much better to leave it to the Logopolitans. They do it standing on their heads.
More of the early knight errant, that is.
Standing on their heads is an expression.
These scenes with Adric and the Doctor, and their interaction between... Adric is absolutely grand. It's just he was the one that got crowded out.
Yeah, there is that.
It would have been interesting to maybe have one or two stories with just the two of them, because it's only at this point and the massacre that you've got an entirely male TARDIS crew, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, unless you count Deadly Assassin, where it's an entirely male story. But the only time you've got a male Doctor and a male companion is the massacre and the start of Logopolis. Technically, I suppose, Keeper of Traken, but then they brought Nyssa in from Keeper of Traken.
Yeah. There was Planet of Fire, I suppose. That started out all male.
Yeah, but Perry was introduced as companion almost immediately. In the same way as Start of Wheel in Space, it's Troughton and Jamie. But Zoe is introduced immediately. Whereas Traken, there wasn't the intention to introduce Nyssa. She was speedily written in for this. I'm not entirely sure why. Because Tom Baker, Adric and Tegan would have been an interesting mix.
Well, the idea was John Nathan Turner wanted some continuity between the fourth and fifth Doctors to help the audience along.
Yeah, but they could have done that with two companions rather than three, couldn't they?
It was horrifically crowded.
Yeah, and for all Adric's the one that gets the slack, Nyssa, I think, is the one that could have been done without. Davison, Tegan and Adric would have been an interesting combination without Nyssa for Tegan to endlessly complain to. I do like those little library steps.
Yeah. I'll put it on the list.
What are the things that I like? There's lots of things I like.
There are other things that can cause this sort of dimensional anomaly.
And there are some interesting concepts in Logopolis. I mean, okay, they have no idea what entropy is or how it works, but, you know, it's not the first time that the physics in Doctor Who hasn't been great.
You know, it's such a shame that the DVD menus, the TARDIS consoles, all massively better than they do in real life.
Well, yes. And they're not the sort of thing that they can go and redo special effects on. And then you have a whole host of situations where Tegan really doesn't want to be there and bitches about it. And Auntie Vanessa about to become an Eagle Moss figurine.
Is she one of yours by any chance? Do you own Auntie Vanessa?
I'm not sure that Eagle Moss ever did Auntie Vanessa before they stopped trading.
In fairness to Eagle Moss, I've never been a figurine collector, but they were very good.
I mean, do you have any apart from Spaff?
I've got the Beast. I've got Sarah Jane and Jamie somewhere as well.
Oh yeah, I wasn't wildly keen on them. And yeah, I do quite like this darkened set. Getting more and more dingy as you go through.
We must be getting near to the nucleus of the bubble. What's causing it? Another TARDIS.
I mean, the TARDIS lock is a very changeable thing because it's gone from the Sensorites where there's dozens of combinations.
Here's where we found out the TARDIS has a back door.
Good morning. Good morning. Is your vehicle? Which vehicle? The sports car.
Or they're making a comment on the nature of observed reality, and with Adric being kept behind,
It's only the road after all.
then they weren't able to sort of recreate the conduit that took them through back to the front door. Although that explanation doesn't make sense, seeing as Adric's about to sneak out anyway. Oh dear.
So he did escape from Traken.
I mean, it does make you wonder whether there's anybody else who's accidentally wandered on board and is just running about the TARDIS corridors, sort of subsiding on whatever they can find in random kitchens.
That'd be a good story. Big Finish?
No, don't be giving them ideas. Actually,
Yes, do give them ideas.
Ideas would be very good.
Yes. The master.
How dramatic would that TCE thing have been? Because it hadn't been a massive deal beforehand, had it? Had there been anybody who'd been squiggled down in Keeper of Traken?
I don't think so in Traken. It was certainly a big thing during the Delgado era, and it played a part in Deadly Assassin.
Yeah, but that was quite a number of years before this. I know John Nathan Turner used to really land things on the show's past, but this was, 81, and Keeper of Traken was 76, 75?
No, Deadly Assassin was 76.
So, 5 years difference, and in terms of their target audience, 5 years was a big thing. So, would they have had detailed knowledge of the TCE? And the TCE is only used once in Assassin, isn't it?
I think so, yes. Yeah, it is.
It's the body that ends up in
The technician in the camera.
Yeah. So it wasn't that big a deal. Whether that was a strong enough thing to base an entire cliffhanger on, not sure.
But anyway, it's back, and it's about time.
Stop.
I really must stop saying that.
Yes, you must.
Anyway, episodes 2 and 3 happen. The Doctor measures the police box, takes those measurements to Logopolis. Oopsie, he's taken the Master with him. Hilarity ensues. The Master tries interfering with Logopolis to take over the entire universe, and in doing so, he triggers entropy, causing the universe to crumble. Realizing his mistake, too late, the Logopolitans and the Doctor intercede, and at the end of part 3, they have to shake hands and work together. Anyway, enough of that. Ron VC on episode 4.
So, Spangly Starscape and Tom Baker's face, wrinkles and all. This is a bit like the final John Pertwee.
In that,
it doesn't really fit properly. So you've got that final title sequence from Time Monster to Planet of Spiders. It doesn't look right because it's not the right Pertwee title sequence, and in the same way, this one doesn't look right because it's not the Baker title sequence that we were used to. It's the Davison title sequence that doesn't really look right.
no, I've got to give you that. It doesn't. I mean, it must have been a tremendous shock to viewers of the Leisure Hive. Because I love it, but what a change of style after all this time.
There are bits that I remember from this season, but an awful lot of this season I missed because I used to watch Doctor Who with my grandparents, and my grandmother loved Buck Rogers. So we used to watch Buck Rogers.
So which was on at the same time.
Which was on at the same time. So I'm not entirely sure how I managed to watch bits and bobs of it, but I did, because I remember bits of State of Decay, and I remember bits of Keeper of Traken. I don't remember any of Warrior's Gate, I don't remember any of Full Circle, Leisure Hive, Meglos, don't remember any of that at all, but I do remember little bits of this. Oh, the monitor.
This is the program we were developing.
See, I was always told that his autobiography was very scandalous, but it really isn't.
Oh, John Fraser?
Yeah, he shags about a bit. He's got some entertaining stories about Beatrix Lehman and her bush baby, because she had a pet bush baby, and so did he. And they tried to get them together to mate, because one had a male bush baby, one had a female bush baby, and apparently they tried to kill each other. So that was quite fun. All the shagging about was nothing particularly exciting. He's ended up setting up a theatre company with Delina Kidd and her husband.
Right.
If you remember Delina Kidd.
I do. Avengers, wasn't it?
I know her best from City Beneath the Sea, sorry, Secret Beneath the Sea, which is the sequel. But we've seen her in something. Do you remember It's Dark Outside with her and the I loved her, you know, and that's why I killed her, and Brian Wilde?
Yes.
Brian Wilde's much younger wife was Delana Kidd.
That's it, yes, I do remember now. Let me see, the monitor in this has always reminded me of Noel Edmonds.
Oh, wow. The special effect for the dissolution of the monitor looks fantastic. And they obviously hadn't got the two film elements to marry together, so they've laid special effects, flaring and things on top of what there already was. And what there already was looked a bit naff and CGI, whereas what there is now looks fantastic. And the sets look amazing.
Oh, I must watch it then. I've not watched the Logopolis Blu-ray. We're so bloody lucky to have these Blu-rays. No, I mean, with the exception of Star Trek, which is they've really gone to town on those. It's the only other series that's had this level of care. At the time of recording, they are starting to do other things. I've mentioned Hitchhiker's Guide, which have done beautifully, and Blake's 7 they're starting to do.
Yeah, fucked up Dare the Triffids, though.
I believe so. I've never seen the Blu-ray, but I've stuck hold of your DVD cast-off because I believe it's a better version. And Logopolis just looks wonderful. What's that thing that Sarah Sutton has on her head? It's a music stand.
What's happening? We're being taken right out of time and space.
Oh, the negative effect is quite nice, because that's a bit like... Oh, and the flaring that they've added on with the extra special effects is lovely. It's a bit like the way they go into the out of the universe stuff in The Mind Dropper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a negative and shrink down to zero.
The only trouble is the polystyrene rocks. With the best acting in the world, they're still polystyrene rocks.
Well, I mean, it's early 1980s Doctor Who, with all the limitations that implies. Oh, it just looks like a giant bulldog clip, that thing that she's got in her head. It's very distracting. Ooh, but the Pharos project with the new visuals looks marvellous.
Confirmed in the Jodie Whittaker era to be Jodrell Bank. The inside of it looks nothing like Jodrell Bank, but...
Don't know, I've never been. I've seen the inside of enough physics research labs to know that they're really not exciting looking places. If you want exciting looking research, then chemistry is the way to go.
Well, yes, because obviously every laboratory has got bubbling test tubes in it and foam coming out of things and multicoloured liquid.
And those of us who've actually worked in real chemistry research labs still recognise that without all the fairy liquid and everything, chemistry labs are still more exciting because we get to set fire to things. Or I think health and safety stops you doing that kind of thing now. But
health and safety, my ass.
I date back to before we worried about health and safety. And I mean, it ultimately killed most of my colleagues. And
what, health and safety?
No, all the stuff that we used to do with ignoring health and safety. Like, I mean, a number of years before I worked in the factory, but they did used to wash the floors down with benzene.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We used to throw carbon tetrachloride around like it was nothing, and it rots your liver from the inside.
What's wrong with it?
In fact, there used to be something that they called Zoff, which was this magic liquid to get rid of the gack that sticky plasters left. And a big chunk of that was carbon tetrachloride. It's horribly bad for you. You can still get Zoff, but it is now safety tested, and I think the original company stopped trading, and now the name has been taken over by somebody else, and it doesn't work quite as well, but it's actually safe and not going to rot you from the inside.
Woolly thinking, Doctor. Yes, very comforting when worn next to the skin.
You see, I do like that exchange. Woolly thinking, Doctor, yes, but terribly comforting when worn next to the skin.
What did he say to you?
Which I've always found odd because I don't like wool next to my skin.
Yes, but you are weird.
But what did he say to you, Adric?
It depends on the wool. So if you've got something like pashmina, which is very soft, really high quality, then that isn't itchy. I mean, if you've got some mangy old stuff that's still got the sheep's shite hanging out of it, then yeah, it's going to be scratchy.
Adric, the scanner.
Oh, the new special effects on the scanner. We got to the Metulla Orionsis scene with Nyssa, and the scanner imaging just looks gorgeous. I mean, she still can't act her way out of a paper bag, but
It's there.
it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful. And the bit where they're talking about where's Earth and they scan in on Earth, beautiful. Earth's galaxy has a few hours left. I can't.
see Traken.
Oh. And she's just actually watched the destruction of Traken. I mean,
Can't even see Metulla Orionsis.
you wouldn't be able to tell from her acting, but the special effects are beautifully done.
Well, you've just sold the Blu-ray to me.
Put it out forever.
Yeah, like you're pretending you don't have it already.
Of course I've got it already. I've just not watched all of it.
Yeah, that's because you're a fan. It's one of the many Big Finish effects. We buy tons of stuff that we don't actually have the time to watch.
Dawn's coming up. There are security guards outside.
That is true. I'm really impressed with the length that they've got to. They've built an entire set there that is seen once,
Programs aren't being fed into the core.
just to lend the whole Pharos project a bit of verisimilitude. I'm really quite impressed.
But you see, half the episode is in the TARDIS console and the TARDIS corridor. So they'd be able to use the rest of the special effects, or the newly done special effects where they're going in and out of the outside of the universe, are just beautiful. Oh, she just left the door open. How careless is that?
Running. If you call this alien.
You could end up with Dad's army in space wandering about there.
Ah, there they are, the spin-off waiting to happen. The Logopolis security guards.
I suggest we use your TARDIS.
Big Finish.
No. I mean, not like anybody from Big Finish is going to be listening to this, particularly after a lot of the stuff that I've said about Big Finish.
Yeah, I've noticed whenever they're tagged on Twitter, they don't respond.
Yeah, that's because we don't praise the ground they walk on.
Oh,
The Watcher is an interesting idea. It's a pity it's not explored a little bit more.
I think the problem is you can't really build mystery with an entity that doesn't talk and isn't particularly directed very well. I mean, it's sort of running through the whole story, but you're never particularly curious about who. It's not burning curiosity like it should be.
I mean, you can build mystery with something like that, but you have to do it as a kind of ghost story, which this is.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something that was best left, because once you know what the Watcher is, then any element of surprise is wrecked for any subsequent. So if there had been a Watcher for future regenerations, you know exactly what it was. You see, these security guards can actually run. Not as fast as Tegan when she's in heels, which is impressive.
You can run in heels.
I can't. I can barely walk in them these days. Actually, you can walk in heels better than I can. You can walk in my heels better than I can.
Heel to toe. Vaseline on the teeth so that you don't get your lips stuck for your smile. I've been there, darling, I've been there.
Yeah. And the pageants as well.
The Master's tissue compression weapon first appeared in 1971. The script describes it as simply unpleasant looking, not like a giant glowing knob end.
It's not particularly giant.
Its particular shape was requested by John Nathan Turner. He asked that it should resemble a torch.
Torch and flashlight are not the same thing.
The dish is a miniature in the original version.
So harking back to Outland there.
An early abandoned idea was to take establishing shots of the dish at Jodrell Bank, but that was never going to be practical because later the dish has to move on cue. The easiest way of achieving that was, inevitably, with model work.
Or, as I've just seen with CGI, which looks amazing. I mean, I love the redone CGI on things. I have said it so many times, but it makes Kinder.
Oh, absolutely, yes, the big rubber snake.
The way that they redid all of the Star Trek original series with new special effects, I like. What I don't like is that you don't have access to watch the original episodes.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you on that. Don't override the originals, because there's still going to be the purists out there, and it shouldn't be denied.
So something like this, where you have the option to watch one or the other, and it actually defaults to the original, and you have to choose to watch the special edition, I think that's the perfect way of doing it.
Gosh, those coordinates are Anthony Ainley's real phone number.
Well, you know, he was probably desperate for fans. Having said that, when I was a member of the Bournemouth Doctor Who local group way back in the 80s, we went to, en masse, we went to Southampton to see Colin Baker, Anthony Ainley and, was it Nicola Bryant? I can't remember. We went to see all of them in pantomime. And Blokey, who was organising it, had organised that we could have a question and answer with the Doctor Who cast. And Colin Baker and companion of the time had fucked off, didn't want to talk to us. But Anthony Ainley was happy to sit, and he sat for, must have been a good 40 minutes after he'd just done a full performance. And I know he has a reputation of being arsey. He wasn't in the slightest. He wasn't being paid anything extra for this. Or he might have got 20 quid or something for it. But he was witty and entertaining and pleasant and humoured these utter geeks, of which I was one. So when people talk about him being difficult, the very little experience I have of interacting with him was that he wasn't at all. And you know, I think I was 15 or 16 at the time. Can't remember. Might have been a bit older than that. But I was very geeky, and I asked him if I thought that the Master should have companions in the same way as the Doctor does, which is a fucking stupid question. And you could hear groans from everybody else that was there. And he took the question seriously, and he answered it and said, no, I don't think so, because blah, 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 blah. And he gave his view of the Master's viewpoint and how he would think in terms of companions and how it could possibly work. And he kind of predicted Master of Callus, in that the Master would only have a companion if it was something that would work to his advantage, and he would play the long game if he needed to. But ultimately, it would be entirely self-serving, and that's all the clever bit of Master of Callus. So, there you go.
A bit of background there. And speaking of backgrounds, all of these are photo... Look at this. This is where it all gets a little bit... Oh, dear.
Not on what I'm watching, it doesn't.
Yes, well, on the original version, it's just a still of the Master in the background, and because you're concentrating on Tom Baker, they just about get away with it. On yours, however, I suspect he's moving about a bit.
He is. I do like Tom Baker's boots. Don't like the colour of them, but I like the boots.
Well, they're the ones from last season, because he started this season with shoes, little brogue things. And I think by it's either Meglos or certainly by Full Circle, he'd gone back to his Buccaneer boots, because that's what he requested.
I was just staring into camera, and some of the... Actually, they're not really changing the regeneration montage. I don't really understand why there's the previous Master in there. If you were going to put a Master in, it should be the current one. And I don't really understand why there's the pirate captain when there are much more iconic villains that could be used.
Man, he must have been delighted. Ah, yes, the Master Shadow dematerialises with the TARDIS there. God, I'm such a geek for noticing this shit. It was something I noticed years ago when I got it on VHS.
Yeah, we've all watched this dozens upon dozens of times. Apart from the Hartnell to Troughton, this was about my favourite regeneration.
Doctor!
Although I really like the Davison one, but the whole doing the flashback thing until the redone Troughton, that is just wonderful.
Oh, isn't it? Yeah, that's glorious. Yeah.
He was the Doctor all the time.
My favourite regeneration is actually Hartnell to Troughton. I just love the way it's done. I've always loved the Davison to Baker one. I think that's just it's just got a complete drama to it. Strangely, I've always liked the Baker to McCoy one. I think that there's just the way it's done. It's really dramatic. The worst one of all is unfortunately Pertwee to Baker. And I'm really sad that they missed the opportunity to clean that up for the Season 12 DVD.
See, I don't think it's a bad regeneration. I think the start of Robot, where he's doing all the utterly ridiculous costume changes, is... yeah, that doesn't work. But it was the first time that you had somebody doing that, choosing their costume. Before that, you'd had Troughton basically doing a bastardised version of what Hartnell wore, and then you had Pertwee nicking somebody else's clobber.
I was actually talking about the regeneration itself rather than what came afterwards. It was...
Oh yeah, I realised that, but at that time, regeneration was still very much a work in progress. So I don't think that's particularly bad.
Well, that was jolly good fun. I've always liked Logopolis. Tone-wise, completely and utterly not the Fourth Doctor. It's
the whole of that season leads into it. So you start off with fairly traditional stuff with a modern edge, like Leisure Hive and Meglos, and then you go through the whole of the more unusual E-Space stuff, ultimately ending up with Warrior's Gate. And then you come into this much more modern Keeper of Troughton leading into Logopolis. I think the whole season builds up to this ending.
It fits the feel of the season. I just don't think that it fits the Fourth Doctor.
But his final season is very different to all of the rest of the stuff that went beforehand. And for all JNT had his flaws, clamping down on Tom Baker's excesses was what had to happen. Because the whole, oh, I'll quit if you don't let me do this. Well, fair enough, off you go.
Oh, yeah, yes. I mean, he pulled that trick quite a few times before, though.
Yeah, and he wasn't expecting John Nathan Turner to say, yeah, okay, off you go. And it realistically was the only way that he could go and still maintain a functioning programme. But when you've done it a few times, it becomes the, well, this is what I do to get what I want. Oh, hang on a minute, what do you mean, yes? This isn't the way this game is supposed to be played.
But overall, I have always loved Logopolis, and it never gets old for me. No matter how many times I see it, I'm never bored by this.
Yes, I agree completely. It's a marvellous story. Well, I tend to think of Logopolis as a sort of part one of two, because it leads immediately into Castrovalva, and Castrovalva is the same story.
Oh, completely agreed.
So I generally watch them as a back-to-back, which means that the next thing I'm going to be watching is Castrovalva.
Just a final word on Christopher H. Bidmead as script editor. I think that what he tried to do when he came in with this season, to try and get it back to its scientific roots, it was an interesting idea. I don't think they ever quite came off it, because this is the science season. There was a lot in there running through it that was very sort of modern science-y based. They tried to take New Scientist and what have you, weave that into Doctor Who. I think it was a little bit above the target audience, if I'm honest.
And they have entire stories like Meglos or Warrior's Gate that just say, fuck it to the science, we're going to do what we want to do. Now, that might have been in the case of Meglos because it was commissioned before he took over, and in the case of Warrior's Gate because it was just, we want to do some weird shit, there we go. I know it's called the Science series and all that sort of thing. A lot of that is down to Logopolis, and actually the science in Logopolis is pretty ropey, but it's very entertaining.
I've got quite a soft spot for season 18. I know it's not universally loved, certainly not bits of it, beginning with M.
Well, that's shit. Meglos is terrible, but it's a real low point in a pretty good season.
But they screwed down Tom Baker, which, to be quite honest, I badly think they needed to do. Christopher Bidmead, he tells a story in one of the DVD documentaries that it was never for a writer or a script editor to come down, but he did periodically come down from the gallery to say, Tom, please just say the lines, because he was rewriting them so much on set and ad-libbing, and he'd been getting away with it for 6 years, and year 7, regime change, don't do that.
I'm not sure he'd been getting away with it for 6 years. I think he'd been getting away with it for 3. And I think an awful lot of that is probably because Graham Williams was told he is what brings the audience in, give him what he wants.
But overall, he did make a big difference. I think you can feel Christopher Bidmead's hand on the tiller story-wise more than John Nathan Turner's in this series. As time went on, I mean, obviously he left as script editor after just 1 season, and as time went on, it became very obvious that John Nathan Turner was head honcho. In this first season, I don't think he is.
Yeah, and that's why it works as well as it does, because this is a great season.
I think so too, yes.
And I think for all, it's not entirely about science. That's a part of it. Doctor Who has never been slavishly devoted to science. I have my problems with some of the lack of scientific accuracy in some of the stories, but in general, it doesn't stop it being entertaining.
Well, as a final word, I will say that this season was the reason that I started buying Doctor Who on VHS that wasn't Peter Davison. Because I bought Logopolis and then I thought, well, in order to know the backstories of this, I need to buy Keeper of Traken.
In order to know, like you didn't know beforehand.
I didn't, not in those days. This was the early 90s. I was a brand new...
You mean you hadn't read the targets or anything?
Not all of them. I've got.
Call yourself a fan?
I know. I'd read a couple of thousand of them by the time I was 14. No, our local library was very well stocked with Target books, but no, thinking back, a lot of the season 18 ones weren't in our library. There was a lot of Troughtons, a lot of Hartnells, and a lot of Colin Bakers, as I recall, but no.
Well, Troughton and Hartnell, what more do you want?
Not much. But we shall raise a glass to Christopher H. Bidmead. He's done far more outside of Doctor Who than he did in it, but for the purposes of our podcast, thank you for your contribution to Doctor Who. It's very much appreciated.
Yes, as a writer and as a script editor, and that bit tends to get forgotten because the writers get the kudos and everything, but it's generally the script editors that are the stabilising influence and keep things on an even keel. And for this season, I think he did that very well, apart from Meglos, which probably wasn't his choice. Anyway, raising a glass to Christopher Bidmead. Thank you.
And on that note, we shall sign off, boys and girls. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. We'll be back next time with something else. See you later.
Bye-bye.
The Exton Moss Experiment featured Simon Exton and Ken Moss. All featured soundtracks are the property of their respective producers, and no infringement of copyright is intended. Title music was performed by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and the programme was produced by Maverick Productions. For more information, please visit maverickproductionsuk.blogspot.com or find us on social media.